Welcome, everyone. If we could, let's go around and introduce ourselves. There are some folks that might not know each other. So I'm Barb Smith. I'm with Chesterfield County. Just have to be bold.
Chessa Walker, Chesterfield County. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Joe Vodnius with Hanover County.
Jerry Whitlock. I'm with Virginia Department of Transportation, Richmond District.
Hi, Jerry.
Hey.
I think Nora introduced herself, but I couldn't hear you. That's Nora from Ashland.
Barb.
Yes.
Dirana here on the phone, City of Richmond.
Great. Thanks for joining.
I'm Brantley Tyndall, non-voting member with Sports Backers.
Hi, Brantley.
Philip Kempf, also with Hanover County.
I am Heather Barrar with Friends of the Lower Appomattox River.
Great.
I'm Natalie Rayner, non-voting member with Sports Backers.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi.
Naomi? We've got Naomi from Petersburg.
Hey, Naomi Sayadmak with the City of Petersburg. Sorry, my computer is glitching a little bit, but I'm here.
That's all right. And we've got Chet with us now. Sid behind the scenes, Janice working to keep us connected, all of them. I think we got everybody. Okay, which was good because now everyone's hooked up. First item on the agenda is consideration of any amendments to the meeting agenda. Are there any amendments? All right, looking good that way. So we'll move to number 3. Funding strategies for construction of remaining sections. So we've accomplished a lot with getting our wayfinding done, and VDOT is making progress with the 2 design build projects, and localities are knocking out sections. So I felt like the next direction for this group would be to kind of come up with some strategies to get the remaining sections funded. And, just something I came up with, which is not totally brilliant or anything, is taking advantage of Plan RVA's grant writer and going after federal grants, which Chet might be able to brief us. I think you guys have done that already. Unfortunately, it didn't get funded, but can you give us a briefing on that?
Sure. Yeah. I think that it is definitely an option to consider. Obviously, the workload with grant applications for the other things that Plan RVA is doing is going to impact the timing for that. But I think we should have the conversation. Phil, Heather, Miles can all help make that happen. I think understanding what the current opportunities are and the timing for those applications is probably the first step. And then, being able to put together, I think putting together the case statement shouldn't be too hard of an issue, given all the work that's already being done and the timeliness and the readiness of the sections that are still remaining.
Mm-hmm.
We do have. It's an interesting time post-election. We're going to see what happens with the BIL. So I think the timing for any application should probably be sooner rather than later, just to make sure that we get things in as needed so that they're being considered. But I don't know, Phil, Heather, I feel pretty good about our odds. We've had some success, and Emily's done an amazing job with some of the applications that have been submitted already. So I think this is a great idea, Barb.
Do you guys track or check regularly the federal grant webpage where they've got all the listings of active
All the
NOFOs?
NOFOs, yes.
Okay, that's good. I do a bad job of keeping up with that and usually kind of catch it by luck, seems like, so. Okay. Anybody have anything to add in that regard? Or other suggestions for funding strategies? I know that, you know, localities have submitted sections for smart scale funding consideration. So those are being reviewed at the moment. So we can always go after that source. Maybe
I did want to, I mean, if this is the right time, I wanted to ask Brantley or maybe others, like, I've heard nothing in terms of the upcoming General Assembly about any transportation issues. It seems like most of the focus is in other areas. But I don't know if that would be, if there's a section or segments that are close to being ready. It didn't seem like that would probably be the first option this time around, but maybe that's something we should consider also.
I think it's worth considering. I get a sense there's not a strong appetite to keep slicing the remaining money up in the state trails pot. Quick kind of back of the envelope math. I think there are about $15 million left in that fund. So it's not a lot, and the General Assembly feels like they've committed to a lot of trails and they want to see them develop. So on the flip side, if you don't go get it, you can't, or you don't try to go get it, you won't get it. And maybe, you know, the attempt to get the state trails money could help find other opportunities for state funds, like as they try to move the puzzle pieces around. So I'd certainly love to play a role in finding a patron to do that. It's a short session. It's going to be a tricky one, but there are some, I think the last I read, there's 400 or $600 million of usable surplus that people are going to be trying to go after.
So the General Assembly hasn't committed to an ongoing fund for the State Trails Office. It was just that one hit.
Yeah, I think the understanding is it would have to be it'll either be depleted and then never reinstated, or it'll be individual acts to reinstate money into that fund.
Mhm. Okay. Sharon?
I know you're just talking about just funding options for the Fall Line Trail, and I wanted to share or remind that we had gotten transportation alternative funding for part of our Fall Line Trail, and I think part of it was HIP funding as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Sharon. I heard that the maximum request for TAP money is like up to 3 million.
It used to be 2 million, but it may be higher up, and I know it varies per year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, you know, I tend to think of that fund source as being for little, pretty
Smaller.
small stuff, but you know, I do think there is a bigger maximum than in the past, and you know, that might be something that we as a region consider. You know, I think it would probably go farther if we were thinking about trying to go after TA money with, I don't know, more of a regional effort to get that big of an amount, if that makes sense, rather than each locality.
Just to clarify, the TA funding limits it's capped at 2.5 federal
2.5
funding, and then a 20% local match.
So what does that bring it to?
3.125.
3.125.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Anyone else want to add to the discussion about options that we have for funding remaining sections, or should we move to item 4?
Is there any potential for congressional directed spending and working with our US senators.
That's a good idea.
And Barb, sorry, one more thing on the TA applications. The pre-application window will open this spring. I think it's April 1st or maybe April 15th. So if any locality is considering going after TA funding, probably should have your project lined up pretty quickly.
Okay, yep. Thank you for those deadlines. Chet?
Yeah, I guess just thinking about the options that we're listing. Is anybody on this call aware of a segment that is ready to go? I mean, if we do get something, an opportunity in the next, say, 3 to 6 months.
Me.
Okay. So
I have a 14
as long as we have projects that are
25
ready, I think that's what we want to do.
a 14.25 need for 6A of the Fall Line Trail. So yeah, I wanted to say that in regard to what Brantley was saying about going after. Yeah, we would love to push that project, and of course any other regional projects that anyone has for consideration. And then lastly, the raise. That we would need an application in by I think mid-January for that process, and then that would probably conclude the infrastructure bill projects until after we see what happens. So it's only probably that one left. That's because you have another probably SS4A, but that's more like Vision Zero and not trails.
So you think Raise is a good fit for a Fall Line Trail project?
Yeah, I mean, we could pretty much probably take our Reconnect application and just resubmit it.
Oh yeah, okay.
Under that program with a little work.
And Raise, I know Henrico's been. Sharon, didn't you guys get a raise? No, you got a Reconnecting.
We got to reconnecting communities for Laburnum over 64, and we're multimodal. Yep, the RAISE grant, like Dironus says, closes end of January 31st. And I'm not the subject matter expert on it, but I think more multimodal could be good for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I feel like a significant match amount is usually what helps get them across the goal line, though. So that would need to be considered as well. But Dirona, if you've done that with Reconnect and you already have your match set up, then you might be right. Might just be putting it in the Reconnect application or the Raise applications.
Yeah, and that was the TPO submitted that, so we would still go. It's not Richmond's. It was done with the TPO, and so
right.
we would use that would be a perfect fit. I'm sure. As I've discovered Raise, we're still probably going to go after some of our own segments outside of it, but we would definitely we did the same thing with the Reconnect as well. So
Did the Reconnecting application require a benefit cost analysis?
I'm not sure. Again, Chet, who helped us with that? Who was that? I can see his face. I just can't recall his name.
A consultant?
No, he works for Chet. I'm sorry for Plan RVA.
I don't know.
Emily, right?
Well, it was a male. Clearly, it was a male.
Miles?
Before, or I don't know. I can't remember. But you have to.
We'll let you off the hook a minute and let Heather. Go ahead, Heather.
Oh, I had another BIL one that's wrapping up that I think would be good for Dirona. So Dirona, I'll send it to you. It's the EPA Thriving Communities, and we did finally get them to tell us that they would take trails and parks. it doesn't say it on their website, you know, so, but we finally got that. So I think we're gonna apply in the Tri-Cities. It is, I think probably only Richmond would be eligible, but Dirona, I'll send it to you. And I think the applications look actually fairly easy and there's no match.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I know Plan RVA already has a couple they're working on the environmental side. So I don't know if there's any capacity from that side, because I know the environmental team is submitting 1 or 2. But we're starting to work on one. So I'll send you that, Dorana, and we can talk if you want about that.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at Raise, Chet, and see if we have the parts and pieces to transform the reconnecting into a Raise application. And then Dirona can take a look at the thriving communities and figure out the deadline for that guy. We've got TAP, congressional directed spending. There's always the General Assembly, which we seemed a little lukewarm on. Okay, we'll keep.
What was the last one, Heather, that you said?
Thriving communities.
EPA thriving communities. I'll put it in the chat. But I think it's probably limited to City of Richmond, but I don't know. I haven't looked at the demo, you know, north, but.
Okay, well, great. We'll keep this item on the agenda just to talk about opportunities and what people are doing. And we'll move on to item number 4 on the agenda, which is options for dedicated maintenance funding. We've mentioned this before. My thought has always been that, you know, if you have a state trails office, besides just getting this infrastructure built, you've got to figure out a way to maintain it. So, you know, maybe just having some conversations with the State Trails Office about what they see on the horizon for maintenance funding directed to regional trails. That might be a good opening. Do you think maybe we can?
I don't work for VDOT for sure, but you know, I work with Jake and have followed the creation of that office. The current law, the 15 or so million that currently exists, is only for new construction, so there isn't any existing available specifically maintenance funding. And I'd love to hear if Jerry has any input on this, but my understanding is there isn't like a pot of maintenance money, and VDOT doesn't really like to do it that way. As it relates to these trails, so it's like an as needed kind of basis from at least a hard surface maintenance style things. Certainly that doesn't mean that something couldn't be done, but it would take probably legislative action to create some kind of a dedicated fund in a way that makes people know what's restricted and kind of feel comfortable about that. Yeah, that's all I can say there. I think it would take something new.
Okay.
And I think we're also, you know, we're scratching at the issue of the VDOT maintained sections and the non-VDOT maintained sections, and how does the whole region get served with if it's a statewide fund.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with anything specific that VDOT has, but I can ask around.
Okay. Anyone have more to add on that subject?
I guess a question for the jurisdiction folks here. Have you done any preliminary estimates on what an adequate fund amount would be? Like if we're looking for dedicated maintenance funds, are we talking, like if it's a General Assembly thing, are we talking $1 million a year, or seed it with a certain amount and let it deplete? I'm trying to think of the mechanism if we start having those conversations.
Yeah, Barb, if I could just say, Dirona here. Yeah, maybe like $1 million the first year, chat, because I'm thinking that an annual amount, is about maybe 100. We'll just estimate 150,000, no more. Yeah, 150,000 for say one regional trail. And so again, making and seeing what that breaks down across, like what the trails, maybe do some little analysis to see what a good ask and what that would really do for the region. Because it could be something, like has terms on it. So it's like something where, hey, the economic development from the trail should be supporting maintenance. But this is something while, a startup, while it gets there, something we can, I think we need to do something.
Chad, do you think we could talk to Capital Trail Foundation about, I would expect that they've got sort of a annual budget, some records that say how much is needed annually.
I thought it was in that report, Barb.
It was what?
I think two localities like Richmond and Henrico, they had in Phil's report, it had like 150K to like 180K. I think he had some numbers of the mileage that they use for the Capital Trail.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Did the numbers.
We already have it. Okay, great. Thanks, Phil. All right, well, I think I'm just going to mention this to our General Assembly liaison over here in Chesterfield, just to kind of get a read. Like Brantley said, it's a short session. So I got the impression that there probably wasn't going to be a lot of interest in going after new stuff, really. But at least I can plant the seed over here, and maybe other localities can do the same, have some conversations internally to see if that's an item that we might want to get some support, for dedicated maintenance funding going through the State Trails Office. Brantley?
Yeah, just a little bit of just context on a couple of those things. I think I don't work for VDOT, so I can say things that people at VDOT can't say. I think a new administration is going to have a different approach to how the State Trails Office is planned and managed, and so we'll have new opportunities in 2025 or 2026 for that.
That's a good point.
The current secretary has not been very forward-thinking about the state trails planning and management. At a statewide level, I've been recommending the other regions in Virginia try to drain this pot as fast as possible. Like if the State Trails Fund stays unspent for years and years, then it really is like not having its intended effect, and it makes it very difficult for us to go back and ask for more money. So the sooner it drains, the sooner we can ask that pot to be refilled, and I think reshuffle the deck on prioritizing the fall line, which is we've been kind of deprioritized, unfortunately. So I don't know how much we can be involved with that, but that's at the state level what we're trying to do. And like Northern Virginia hasn't gotten any of its money, and they have a lot of needs as well. Like the trail needs in Virginia exceed $1 billion if you add everyone up. So that's just a useful metric to know. And this, I don't want to crack like a big egg on this, but I think there should be some creative thinking about the trail maintenance funding options. I hope that I'm not going too off script here, but Indianapolis, Atlanta, a number of our regional or of our studied trails across the country use things like tax increment financing districts to create funds to use for things like this and other adjacent issues. So like affordable housing, trail and transit oriented development, green space, like these finding creative uses for funds in areas where you're going to see a major economic benefit over the development of the trail can help solve these problems. So like forecasting that and then using the funding early on to create something like an endowment and then having regular dividends to spend would be really an effective strategy. But of course, that's going to take lots of hands to be able to get that to work.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing what you've learned You've been to a lot of different places and know a lot of different strategies, so you're a wealth of information. That's a good idea. I think, I feel like Dorona kind of mentioned that as well. Just the economic benefit of the trail, trying to use that to our advantage.
Yeah, it can be leveraged for financing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good idea. Anything else on that subject? All right, we'll move along to a fall line trail update from VDOT. Liz, are you gonna give us that?
I hadn't planned to, but so I don't really have anything to update. Are you talking about the design build projects?
Yeah.
Jerry, are you able to speak to that at all?
No, they are out of my purview right now.
So I can get you guys an update via email. What he means by that out of purview, since they're Roy Soto, who was the PM at the district, he now works for I keep looking here, but you guys are over here. He's moved to central office, but he's still managing those two projects. So I'll reach out to him today and get an update and send that to Chet to send out to everybody.
Okay. Joe?
Philip Kempf and I can give a brief update on the design build section in Hanover. That's progress is going along great. They actually have the steel bridge structure set in place. Officially the completion date is September 2025, but unofficially, don't just keep this among ourselves. It looks like it's going to be several months sooner than that. We'll see. And just the popularity of the trail is we've actually been asked
Can't
to
keep people off of it?
Yes, for people to, so we sent out a notice at the request of VDOT to just ask people just to refrain from using it until it's completed. But people were moving barricades to get onto the trail. So no doubt in my mind, come springtime, it is just going to be rocking.
That's so exciting. Well, that's great news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also unofficially, we learned at the Fall Line Trailblazer walks back in October that we had the design builders and the VDOT project manager were out there to give us a tour, and they said that they're on track. That nothing is official, but they were on track to be able to open sections sequentially through the design build. So like the bridge section may be the last to open, but you'd be able to walk south from Ashland and increasingly longer distances in an official open trail. Maybe even on like a monthly basis. So we're pretty excited about that. And if you go out there, you can see at the road crossings, certain sections are like almost ready to go. I think everything is paved north of Gwathmey Church, and everything is paved south of Cobb's Road to Cedar Lane, but there are unpaved sections in the middle, and then of course at the bridge.
It's just amazing, you know?
Yeah, just to sorry, Barb, just to piggyback off Brantley, I took a little field visit out there with Harold Dyson, the PM for the Fall Line Trail, and Brantley is correct. Like, it's pretty much done in the northern sections from Ashland. And while we were out there, we did notice users using the trail illegally already. So they're ready.
Yeah. Great. Well, very exciting. All right, we'll wait to get an update on DB2 from Liz. She'll send that over. It's probably not a whole lot to report because I think that's still brewing. So Sharon?
So for Henrico, of course, we have Fall Line Trail Park Street complete that connects from Lakeside Avenue to Fall Line Trail, Lakeside Community Trail Phase 1. A lot of the phases were in the right-of-way phase. So negotiating with property owners, some have lawyered up. So all in the right-of-way phase and trying to get through that. So it's a challenge, but we're going to keep working through it.
In Chesterfield, we've got projects as far north as Falling Creek Avenue, extending down to Galena, where it turns. And that's about 5 miles. We've got about 2.5 funded. We still have 2.5 to go. We have been submitting funding applications to fill in the gaps, waiting to hear on those. And the projects that are underway are at various stages, whether it's PE or utility relocation. We do have a project going to construction next year, somewhere between March and September will be the start date. We've got a flexible start date, so we need to meet with the contractor and decide when. That is a little teeny tiny thing. It'll only take about 90 days to build. So anyway, nibbling away. Any other member updates on Fall Line Trail projects?
Yeah, Barb,
Deborah? Yep.
Richmond, we're excited with the Kanawha Plaza. And so we will be putting going into the entrance, the egress, and Joe, you'll have to help me with all of these engineering. But going into the plaza, we'll start in this, we're hoping to be bid. We've been working with VDOT in July. So then we'll work on the interior. So that money is going to get used fast, we hope. We're still on schedule, hopefully, for a May Bryan Park completion. So we have that design ready to go. We're waiting on a couple of environmental things, or water clearance, rather. So we're excited. So we hope in the spring, too, we'll have people traversing the trail in the city of Richmond.
Great. Yay. Making progress. All
Hey,
right.
Barb, for the design build 2.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I was just going to say for design build 2, the RFP was released in October, so there won't be much update on that until proposals come back from the RFP and they get evaluated.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to hear a whole lot until I think even thinking January is optimistic, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting on the website to load to see when the response date comes back.
Okay, keep us posted. Brantley?
Yeah, I just want to say we're moving right along with our building renovation at the Spring Park section of the Fall Line in Henrico on the edge of the city of Richmond. Actually, our building is in the city of Richmond, and the trail is in Henrico right there, is really straddling the line. And just want to say that we've had really great work and support by both Henrico and the city of Richmond to get our building up and running, and should be online at the end of January. And we'll have a big meeting room. Maybe in February or March, we'll be able to have one of these meetings in person along the trail in our new office.
Oh, that sounds great. Thanks. All right. Anybody else? All right. Future topics, I think we'll continue our discussion about funding the remaining sections and maintenance. I would suggest maybe we take these meetings to every other month.
Here.
Okay. Sharon, is that all right? You agree, Joe? Every other month? Okay, let's do that. And with that, I hope everyone has a great holiday season, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.